Gentlemen, we are officially live on YouTube on this beautiful Thursday evening. How y'all brothers doing today?
Yes, yes. I'm doing well, my brother.
Outstanding.
Hey, look, usually everybody knows, usually Benny, he brings us into the show and everything, but he looks like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. I got a little feedback. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on.
Turn the audio off on YouTube.
Yeah, I got it. I apologize about that. But yeah, Benny, he's in his car today, as you guys can see. Benny is so dedicated to what we do in our empowerment movement that my brother is in Atlanta right now on a business trip, and it's what East Coast Standard Time, so that means it's almost 9:30, and he's still dedicated to the craft. That he's out on a business meeting, so he stepped out to his car to still conduct our global empowerment team meeting because he realizes the importance and significance of today's meeting. So I appreciate you and your passion and your commitment, Benny.
Yes, sir, man. This is our mission, man. This is our passion. This is our love, our joy. And I mean, when it was like time, and I told you this was gonna happen. I told you, like, look, we're gonna still have this show. I'm gonna stop whatever I'm doing, and I'm gonna make sure that we make this show happen. Because this is, I mean, this right here. I mean, our whole intent behind this show is to provide value and help others. Right. And so that's what, and I try to position myself to be a servant of others. So this is, exactly. So if I'm able to help somebody here on the East Coast, here on the West Coast, this is our mission. We're the
Yep,
global empowerment team. So that means
exactly.
worldwide. It don't
Exactly.
stop.
Yep. You think globally and act locally. And acting locally means if I'm in Atlanta, I'm acting locally in Atlanta, but I'm still thinking globally. That means if Henry, who I'll introduce in a moment, is on a golf trip because he loves to golf, or if he's somewhere where he's uh, surfing, you know what I mean? Because he loves to surf as well. It's more so diversified. But he'll go to Brazil on a surfing and golfing trip. But guess what? He's still thinking globally, but he's acting locally because he's still trying to impact his immediate community. And that's the whole purpose and point of what we try to do. So I'm excited about today's show. As always, we try and bring guests and content that always bring value, that are always going to be impactful in many different ways. People from different walks of life, different genres, with different skill sets and different knowledge and different energy that they bring to the table. But today is something that Benny and I have at the forefront of our focus when we started this show was to have certain guests on with certain topics to really educate our community and really start laying the groundwork and a blueprint for people to follow, which we've been doing. But today is important because it signifies for us some consistency moving forward as far as we haven't I'm calling it third Thursday on the street. We still feeling around with that, but we got
Right.
somebody on the show today who is very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is my mentor. I mean, he's my brother. I've known him for 10 years plus. I mean, since my oldest was a little girl. And he's 2 years younger than me, but mentors come in many shapes, ages, sizes, forms. And you got to realize iron sharpens iron.
Very
And
true.
he's been so instrumental in my financial acumen, maturation, and growth process. I'd say 85% of the growth that you've seen in me or anybody has seen in me as far as the way I look at finances is solely tied to this brother right here. I mean, I love him. He's my kid's uncle. He is instrumental to my sanity, somebody who I can call and talk about my problems when it comes to life, somebody who I can always know is going to give me the best outlook and and advice from a perspective that's unique and different. You know what I mean? But he's now going to be on our show on the third Thursdays moving forward, talking about financial strategies and different
Yep.
ways to get yourself and your family involved to create sustainable generational wealth. We're not talking about some wealth for you to go buy a car. We're talking about some wealth for your great, 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 great grandkids to get cars when they graduate high school, which is stuff none of us got. That's what we talking about. And today we're going to lay the first brick and mortar of the groundwork to then really lay a blueprint out for you guys on which you can come back to our channel,
Right.
Global Empowerment Team University, and you can then figure out how to then lay that structure for yourself that we gonna
Exactly.
lay for you. So today, without further ado, we got Mr. Henry Lee Frazier on the show, my personal financial advisor, my brother from another mother, my iron that's sharpening my iron. How are you doing today, my brother?
Man, after that intro, you told me I was gonna cry on the way that you introduced me, man. Luckily, I've learned how to cry down the back of my eyes, so you can't even see the tears right now, man. But I'm doing amazing, bro. Anytime I got an opportunity to come online with the Global Empowerment Team and do things and talk about things that are going to empower our community with these tools that we need to accumulate wealth, like I'm all for it. You know, and if Benny can show up out there in Georgia doing it in his car, I can do it in the comfortableness of my home. So
yeah,
appreciate you guys.
Definitely. And Henry, this has been a long time coming, man. You know, we had talked about this some time back, and I just really appreciate you making this happen. And like I said, this is sky's the limit from here, because we've talked about this a number of times. About we've had guests on the show that drop boulders. We have guests on the show that provide value. This is going to be something that we're starting every Thursday. We're going to make this happen. Not every Thursday, excuse me.
every third Thursday.
Right, exactly. We're going to make this happen on a recurring basis. Global Empowerment University. This is the precedence that we're setting. This is the whole point of us coming together, was to be able to provide value, be able to provide education, be able to provide a roadmap to where it's just rinse and repeat. And so this is right here is the precipitous of all our work, and moving forward, this is how we're going to be able to provide more value to our clients, more value to our families, to our friends, to our circle, to where you could take information, you could take these nuggets, these boulders that you're going to drop, Henry, and start actually implementing things in your life to where you can see or start seeing some change. Exactly. So I'm definitely excited, and thank you again for, like I said, thank you again for making this time.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, yes, Henry, I want to just get right into it and start laying the background, because I know your background and your history and where you come from and where you're at, where you are currently. But if we could, how did you get involved in the financial industry? When did you start seeing the importance of changing the narrative, not only within yourself, within your home, but within then your community? When did that transition change, and how did you get involved with becoming more financially literate for yourself and then getting involved further in the financial literacy industry?
I got involved by chance, by grace, you know, however you want to call it. I actually got introduced to a financial advisor at a point in my life where I was in a transition. You know, I was in the startup industry. I was managing a sales team, doing inside sales, and just like most people out here in the Bay Area that are in the tech industry or startup world. And you know when you're driving to work and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you drive past a golf course and you're like seeing somebody on a Tuesday morning at like 10:30 golfing and like enjoying themselves, and you're like, what the hell is this dude doing? Like, I'm driving to like a 9 to 5. Like, what is that? Like, how do I get into that industry, right? So I'm in the process of trying to leave corporate America and get into something that I can do by myself. My uncle's been a mortgage broker for over 20 years in the Bay Area. He's like, Henry, you need to get into real estate. You'd kill it. You know, I had just bought my home. I was married at the time. And I was thinking, you know, real estate is a pretty good idea, man. So I was studying for my real estate exam, went to a cocktail party and bumped into a financial advisor. And the advisor started talking to me about money. He started talking about finances, started talking about retirement, started talking to me about life insurance. And these bells just started going off like ding, ding, ding. I'm from Vallejo. Like, ain't nobody ever come to my home telling my parents about finances. Nobody ever talked to me about accumulating wealth. You know, I put money in my 401k. I had no idea what it was doing. I was making six figures, spending it just as fast as it came in, just like everybody else, right? So immediately I was like, wow, like every single thing we do at this point, at some point, we had no idea how to do it. So if I'm going to transfer into something else and I'm going to learn a new skill, why not learn about money? People are always going to need the tools about how to grow it, how to save it, how to protect it. So that's how I kind of got into that industry and made that decision.
Nice, nice. And you, real quick before we go any further, you went to Indiana University and you played football, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to Chabot Junior College out here in Hayward in the Bay Area. And from there, I got a scholarship to Indiana University. So I played football for Indiana University, played some arena football, San Jose SaberCats, and a couple other teams out in Manchester, New Hampshire, and stuff like that. And injuries ended that dream, and rolled me into another one.
My
No, I
point
know
of
how that happens, man. I think actually I think what year did you graduate, Henry?
Graduate college or high school? High school
Chabot.
90,
When
97.
you left Chabot, 97.
I left Chabot. It was 2000,
Oh,
2001.
okay, okay, yeah, you was a little after me. Yeah, I went to San Francisco City College, and we
Yeah,
played.
yeah, man. We
Oh,
got you guys were San Francisco City. That was number one.
right,
You
right.
got
We were
we
number
we
one in
got
the
we
nation.
got into a brawl with you guys. Like
Yeah,
after the game, it was on the news and everything. Like it looked like hockey. Like all both teams left the sidelines. It was a
right.
all brawl, man. Like we played
That
San
was that was
Francisco.
after I left, but I do remember hearing about that.
Yeah, like you guys were ranked number one in the
Hmm.
nation, I think. Like we
Yeah,
were ranked pretty high as well. We lost to you guys, but that game I had like 200 some yards receiving. I had a couple touchdowns. That game kicked off the scholarship. The reason why I got the scholarship was because of that game.
I bet.
nice,
Very
nice.
nice. Very nice.
You
Yeah.
know what I extrapolated from that really quickly was this, and this is why I think Henry, just so you know, I like pulling out takeaways for people so that when they watching, they can be like, okay, that was a great takeaway from that particular segment before we move on. So for me, what I take away from that is you went to a big time university. Afterwards, you went and played professional sports. You still had a six-figure job, but still throughout that process, and this is no slight to you, this is just how it typically goes. We don't get any education amongst the way about true finance. They don't
Very.
teach us how to really balance, how to invest money, how to really make our money work for us. I don't care if you're at Indiana University. I don't care if you're a professional athlete. I don't care if you're at a job making six figures. A lot of the times we have to seek out the Henry Frasers of the world to then get this advice to take that acumen to a whole nother level that we're seeking. And I wanted to point that out is don't think just because I got a degree from somewhere that I know anything about financial literacy because it's typically not taught at the university level like that. Don't think just because I'm a professional athlete, I know how to manage my money because I'm making 150,000 a year in arena football or 150 million in Pat Mahomes' case. It doesn't matter. You still need to seek this level of education to ensure that that money is being maximized throughout the duration of that career to ensure you got the money to maximize throughout the duration of your life, which is much longer than your career.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of us grow up in situations to where we don't really think about our future that far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really go and seek that because we don't even realize we got a problem. I mean, there's so many people that haven't really thought about how old do I want to be when I have the freedom of choice to retire, or I'm making 50,000 a year now, or I'm making 100,000 a year now. How much do I want to be making when I'm 50 or 60? I grew up in the area with some people that didn't even think about being 60 because I'm not even
Mm-hmm.
thinking that far. I'm just trying to get past tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, you get your jobs, you get these benefits, you get these 401ks, you hear these things, but nobody was targeting us coming here talking to our parents about this stuff. So our parents didn't talk to us about it. Like you said, the universities aren't teaching it, the schools aren't teaching it, and as a result, we're in a lot of trouble. The
Yeah.
wealth gap is getting wider. Racial wealth gap is getting wider. You know, the average retiree has about 170,000 in their 401k. You know, across the board, there's just a
Hmm.
retirement crisis. So
Hmm.
there's just a lot of distance to gain
Okay.
from this point.
Now, did the mindset shift as far as some of the things you just mentioned, thinking about when do I want to retire? What does 60 look like? What does, you know what I mean, 55 look like? What do vacations look like? How do I pay bills when I'm not working anymore? Did that mindset shift happen as you start getting into the industry? Or did you get into the industry and still hadn't? Because what I've noticed a lot is sometimes people get into the industry, they themselves may not have shifted yet as far as the mindset themselves, if that makes sense. You got real estate agents who talk about owning homes, but they may still rent an apartment. You know what I mean? They don't own a home themselves. But at some point, it clicks for them as far as their mindset. And they realize I'm going to be a better service and resource to my community if I actually practice what I preach. If I own homes, the message comes across a whole lot clearer from a place of doing instead of a place of telling, but not really doing an application myself. So my question to you is, once again, did your mindset shift happen? You were like, you know what? My mindset has shifted. And I know now I need to think about 60 because of these conversations I've had. And then you got into the industry? Or did you get into the industry and maybe you went about it blindly for, say, 6 months, 8 months? And then you were like, nah, these conversations I'm having, I realized I need to put into practice in application myself what I'm teaching people. Which came first as far as that?
So I'm hearing two different things because there's a mindset of what to actually do. You know, do I start thinking about retirement? Do I start saving my money? Where do I put it? Should I buy life insurance? Should I do these things?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the mindset of why you got into this industry in the first place. And that started changing earlier
Okay,
because
that's
I started thinking about what am I actually providing? You know, how can I give more value to people? How can what I do matter more?
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that mindset started changing years ago
Okay.
when you start realizing that you're able to impact others. And that just comes with exposure. You get out of your own space, you go meet new people, you go learn and create new relationships, you hear new stories, you talk to more people, you advise more people, you realize the impact that you have on people, and you realize the what comes out of your mouth or the knowledge that you give to people, it can truly change their lives, right? So you go from having a job, you know, whether it's a big company like Oracle or whether it's, you know, a startup company or whether you're working at Nike or Coca-Cola or wherever you're working. And at some point, something clicks where you're like, I want to provide value. It ain't even really about the money really anymore. Like you pay me a certain amount of money, it's really not about that. It's how am I impacting everybody else? You know, so that mindset shifted a while ago before I got into the industry because I just wanted to get into something where I actually make an impact, where I have more
Okay.
value. And people are always going to care about their money. They're always going to want to care about the people that they love.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can become an expert in these areas, I'm always going to be needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. Yeah, you know, actually, you mentioned something that we talk about pretty often, and something that I actually learned through a course that I had took. And the thing is, the mindset shift happens first, and then as you start thinking it, then those opportunities start presenting themselves, right? Because if your mindset didn't shift beforehand, then those opportunities would just go right past you. You wouldn't even recognize them as an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So understanding that responsibility of you having that mindset shift, and then two, having taking on the responsibility that as I learn, I should provide value to others, right? Because it shouldn't be I'm chasing the dollar. It should be I'm chasing more opportunity to help others.
Exactly.
The money is a byproduct of that.
Yes.
If you're providing value, if you're helping people grow, if you're presenting new ideas, new mindsets to other people, the money's going to come regardless. Right. So exactly how you said it, Henry, is exactly how it happens, is that because you'll be blind to it. You're not going to be conscious to those opportunities if you're not ready for them. If you haven't had that mindset shift yet.
Exactly.
Right. So that was something that happened for Khalil and I prior to us meeting, because we initially would have met beforehand, because Khalil actually reached out to me before we actually met each other and started this journey. And
he dogged me, B. He dogged me, Henry. He dogged me.
Nah, I was like, because as a realtor, you have so many people that just reach out to you for any number of reasons. And a lot of times it's for somebody, it's for them to sell something, right? And so I had a mindset shift, and I started recognizing that, wait a minute, I'm actually missing opportunities to potentially grow my business, network with other individuals, build my circle around other like-minded individuals, to where it could be a win-win situation. So when the situation presented itself again, and this is why I say this is nothing but God that helped Khalil and I come together to establish what we're doing right now, is that once it came around again, the growth and the maturation that I had went through, it allowed me to recognize that, wait a minute, okay, let's see where this is going. Let's have a conversation. And we sat down and had a conversation, and this is where we are, almost a little over a year later.
Yep.
You know, so that, and that's why with the first show that we had was around mindset shift.
Yep.
Because
that was the first
we
show.
could provide all the information in the world, but if people aren't ready for it, if people are in a situation where their mindset is they're closed-minded, or they're just just not open to it, they're not going to take the information.
Yeah, that's true. I think at some point, shit gets real in certain areas.
Yep.
Whether you're trying to work on your health, right, and you're trying to lose a certain amount of weight, or you're trying to gain a certain amount of weight, or you're trying to get your diet right. We only know a certain amount that can get us up to a certain point. And at some point, you got stuff on the line. You got a daughter that you want to be there for in the future.
Right.
You may have lost a parent to like diabetes or something, right? So you start thinking, okay, I can only get myself to here. Why not hire a financial advisor or a trainer, a personal trainer that can teach me how to get to here, right? So same thing when it comes to your realtor, when it comes to your financial advisor. The more assets you accumulate, the more advisors you're going to have. You're going to need a CPA. You're going to need an estate attorney. You're going to need a doctor that you can go to the office that's not going to just rush you out in 5 minutes because you got that many patients.
Right.
You're just going to feel more selfish with the things that you work hard for. I work hard for my money. The government's going to reach in his pockets and take it out. And half of that is going to places that I don't even know where it's going. I don't even agree to it. So at some point, like, you got to pay yourself first. And that's a mindset shift.
Yep.
We've been programmed and targeted to spend first, and then try to save what's left over. And there's nothing left over for the most part.
Right.
We got to pay ourselves first. That's a mindset. That's a habit that every money that comes in, I'm paying myself, and I'm figuring out how to navigate life with whatever's left over.
Yeah. Yep. Because if there's a need, you're going to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Think about this, man. If the government called and said, Benny, you're in X tax bracket right now. Next month, I'm sorry, but taxes are going up. Your tax bill, you're going to pay 10% more to the federal government. Like, what are you going to do? Are you not going to pay taxes? You're going to be like, you know what? I know you can't not pay. You can't not pay. Yeah, you're going to pay your taxes. You're going to pay 10% more. And it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. You might complain about it, but after a month or two, you're just going to keep it moving. You're going to figure it out, right? So if we can pay more to these people that are forcing money out of our pockets, why can't we pay ourselves more? And why do we keep getting ourselves into debt and these high interest rates when we can see it? It's like a habit that needs to be broken.
Yep.
Well,
because we don't have.
A lot of it's education, right?
Yes.
So it's understanding the different opportunities that are actually out there. And
Mhm.
that's one of our goals, is to educate people to understand that, okay, well, look, you don't have to go down this path. There's other options. You don't have to fall into the same scenario. There are other options. Like, these are the other options. Like, one of the things that we talk about all the time, in the insurance realm and the investment realm is, look, when you go deposit $10,000 in your bank is going to go turn around and take that money and reinvest it in an opportunity that they can get 15, 10, 15, 20%. Well, but on average, maybe about 13 to 15% ROI.
Mhm.
They're only giving you 0.01% on
Mm-hmm.
your deposit. Like, those opportunities are open to you.
Mhm.
Like, just be vulnerable enough to have a conversation with somebody like
Exactly.
yourself that can educate them on where to put their money at. You
Exactly.
have the national average of rate of inflation is 3% annually, right? At least 3% annually. If your money is just sitting in the bank, you're losing money. If your money's not working for you, you're losing money,
You're losing money.
right?
If it's
So
not
in
growing
order,
with inflation, you're losing.
right, exactly. Your banks know that, so they're like, yeah, open up an account. Yeah, we'll take your money, and we're gonna put your money to work. We're trying to educate people to, like, look, you can put your money to work. You can go put your money in those accounts, those same accounts that the bank is going to put money in, and reap the benefits.
Exactly. And that goes back, honestly, Henry, to my question on why I asked you that was, my story. For me, look, I ran into an OG black dude back in the day when I was like 24, 25 years old. And he broke it to me simply. You know what I mean? He gave me a real simple breakdown. He was like, all right, here's a fork, here's a spoon, here's a knife, here's a plate. He didn't tell me nothing else. That's all he told me. He basically told me, what are you doing to make sure you're not in certain positions later on? And he just put the bug in my ear. But he did it compellingly. He asked me, could you save 20%? He said the same thing as Henry. He said, when you get paid, look at your next paycheck. You're gonna see FICA, you're gonna see Medicare, you're gonna see Social Security. He pointed all this stuff out that I really had never ever looked at my check to see. And he like, those people, every single check for the rest of your life, they're gonna take what they want. They
Mhm.
dictate what they want to take from your check, and it's nothing you can do or say about it. I don't care. You a business owner, it don't matter. You got to pay it at the end of the year, but you still gonna pay what they tell you to pay, whatever tax bracket you fall in. Like Henry says, if the taxes go
Mm-hmm.
up 10%, you got no option but to pay the higher tax bracket. It is what it is.
Mhm.
And he said the same thing Henry just said. If you don't figure out, my young brother, how to pay yourself while they paying themselves, because he said what's going to happen is you're going to go pay all the rest of your bills, and at the end of the month you have $20 and you're going to go spend it at In-N-Out Burger, and you'll never have money for yourself. He said, I
Right.
promise you, if you figure out how to play. He told me 20%. I love him. People tell you 10%. He told me 20%. He said, if you can save
Well,
26 every time.
for most people, it has to be 20%. It has to
So
Yep.
be 30% because our grandparents, these OGs that talked to you back in the day, their retirement was way different.
Yep.
Like 35% of companies paid pensions. Like our
Right.
grandparents didn't live that long. Like life expectancy was like 75, right? Your grandparents worked one job for like 30 years. Like they didn't
Yep.
move anywhere. They worked till they were 65. They retired with a fat pension. They're taking more out of Social Security than they put in. And they got a guaranteed Social Security income stream. They got a guaranteed pension stream. And they're the ones that came up with the rule of 10%. Every
Yep.
dollar I make, take a dime. So they got some savings as well. But they're only living to like 75, 85. That's like only 20 years of retirement. We got it backwards. Like we want to retire at 50, 55. You go to Target, you'll see cards of happy 100th birthday. I froze my stem cells a couple years ago because I'm trying to get to age 126, bro. I'm like trying to ski down the Black Mountains when I'm 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what does that mean? If I retire at 55 and I live to be 95, that's like 40 years of retirement. And there's
Right.
no pensions. There's rarely any pensions. Only 7% of companies pay pensions. Social Security may or may not be there. So you just got to think about it like, if I'm comfortable on 50,000, if I'm comfortable on 150,000, if I'm comfortable on 250,000, but I may get 20 grand from Social Security. Like, where is the rest coming from?
Right.
And
And
we can't rewind the time. We can't go backwards and be like, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have saved more.
yep.
Right.
And
I had
that's where my conversations with Henry, real quick,
yeah.
Kenny, real quick. That's where
Uh-huh.
my conversation with Henry, as I was alluding to, came in. Is later on when I met Henry, I was already doing certain things, but Henry then came in and said, all right, look, he told you about a fork, a spoon, a knife, a plate, but let me show you. This is how you use it. And he started coming in and telling me the tools of the different things. He started explaining tax implication to me. He started explaining what I was doing versus a diversified portfolio of the same thing, still putting the same money away, but put it in different places. And then what happened for me was after I did that for 10, 11, 12, 13 years, and I saw my portfolio grow, the more I would see Black seniors, 65-year-old seniors, Black, Latino, Asian, who never had a Henry Fraser in their lives, who didn't do anything right for 65 years financially, who didn't have a pension, who didn't have a good Social Security, who didn't put 10% away. I saw that day in and day out, and that's what changed my perspective. And that's what got me into the financial industry. So that's why I was asking about the growth mindset, because I had the mindset shift as far as saving years before I had the mindset shift of saying, I'm not doing enough for my community. I need to share this knowledge and impact my community further than just impacting my immediate family. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it happened a little bit different, but it was still a mindset shift nonetheless. But
Right.
Henry's the one who came in and told me what a Roth IRA is, what an IRA is, what a 401k, 403b, 457, same thing, but different entities as far as where you work, CD accounts, brokerage accounts, municipal bonds, the importance of life insurance. He's the one who then fine-tuned it to where now I know how to place the table. I know how to set the table with the knives and the forks. I know which one is the dessert knife, which one is the salad knife. I know all these different things, and that's thanks to Henry's tutelage. And that's what he's going to do for this show moving forward. He's
Right.
about to lay it out to where I don't care who you could go sit in front of Princess Diana, and you can rest assured you know how to work your way outside in when it comes to the fine dining experience of financial literacy, because Henry is going to break it down simplified for us each and every month. Moving forward on the third Thursday, we're going to break into topics. So this is just laying the playing field. All right, you guys.
And I'm excited, man. We gotta remove the question marks around accumulating wealth. You know, the whole purpose of that accumulation phase, which is like when we start making an income, is to take that income and turn it into assets. But the problem, Khalil, like you said, is nobody ever taught us what these assets are. Like the
Right.
first Black financial advisor in all of America was hired in 1957, bro. That's like 64 years ago. So there was nobody teaching our parents. There was definitely nobody teaching our grandparents. So even if you decide, okay, I'm listening, I'm about to put 20% of my income away, where do you put it?
Right.
Like, how do you decide 20% of your income? If you're making 100,000 a year, that's 20,000 a year that you're saving. How much do you put into the stock market? How much do you use to buy bonds or buy real estate? How much do you reinvest back into your business? Should you do a SEP IRA? Should you do a Roth? Right? Like, how do we navigate that, but also be smack in the freaking middle where more of our parents are alive than ever in history, and some of them didn't put proper plans in place, so they need our money as things start to fail. And then we got our kids. I got a 4-year-old. Like, college when I went to Indiana University was like 46,000 a year. Like, what the hell is it going to be when my son gets to college age? Right? So this is not an easy thing to navigate, right? So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
But I love it though, because
Ask you this, because one of the things that, you know, I actually had a conversation earlier today with a young man, and he's in my circle. He's in my family and close friend circle. He's a barber, and one of the things that I've learned in actually understanding the process of paying yourself first, profit, paying your profit first, right? And living on minimal, living on is as minimal a salary as you possibly can to invest the most that you possibly can. Because we threw some numbers out here. We talked about 10%, we talked about 20%. As an entrepreneur, one of the things that I do when I get my check is, one, obviously I do believe in the process of profit first. So after paying myself, then it's the taxes. And I normally set aside 30% for my taxes. And then the rest is me understanding that I don't need to go spend money on the new Jordans. I don't need to go spend money on shopping every time I get a paycheck. I don't need to spend my money on frivolous stuff. I'm putting my money in my investment portfolio to grow that. So what that looks like across the board, obviously, is different for different people. So that's one of the main reasons why we established this conversation with Henry, to where he could dive in deep about your specific financial situation, to know where you can do the best for yourself and your family. Because that number may differ from family to family.
Everybody. He makes it so tailored. He's like going to a tailor for a suit. I promise you. Some people dress left, some people dress right. Men know what I'm talking about. You got a certain way you want your stuff to fit you along your sleeves, your chest, whatever it is. And that's what he does. He comes in because, as he said, what he's going to do is break down your income. He's going to break down your age, because your income and your age and where you are will tell you honestly how conservative or aggressive you should be with certain investments. And then he starts breaking down whether it's pre-tax, whether it's post-tax, because certain amount should go pre-tax, certain amount maybe should go post-tax, depending on where you at. And then he starts breaking it down based upon those things, and he simplifies it to where at the end of it, you know, dollar for dollar, exactly what you should be putting into each vehicle based upon you and where you are at that particular stage with your investment strategy. And that's the importance of reaching out and having a conversation with Henry. Is he's going to, and he don't just meet you one time. He's going to meet you quarterly to biannually to annually, because he's like putting a GPS on, which we've talked about several times. And nobody puts a GPS on and don't look at it every once in a while.
What's a GPS? What's a GPS?
Goals, priorities, and strategies. That's how we utilize GPS.
Yes,
Henry
sir.
may tell you guidance. What's the other one, Henry? Guidance. It's in his presentation that he has, but it goes along same thing. Goals, priorities, and strategies. And the point is, what I'm trying to say is, I've never turned 50. So for me to get to 50, I should have some type of GPS on, right? Like if I've never gone to New York before and I've never turned 50, 50 essentially is New York in this case, hypothetically speaking. And the problem is, people spend so much time planning a vacation. They spend hella time planning a wedding. They spend hella time planning a child's first birthday, which nobody gonna remember. But nobody spend time planning a retirement. Like Henry said, I'm gonna sit down with somebody tomorrow. They're gonna say, I'm 42 and I retire at 55. And I'm like, okay, the same story. But you want to live to 95, that's 40 years worth of retirement. What are you doing over the next 10 years to make sure you're doing the right, that your retirement bag lasts for 40 years? And that's where Henry's going to be our resident specialist. You can start reaching out to Henry through his platforms that he has. You can start knowing every Thursday we're going to be live on YouTube at third Thursday live on YouTube at 6 o'clock. You can come in with live questions and comments. You can send them to us ahead of time to make sure we get them to Henry so he can be well prepared ahead of time as well. But the whole goal is, bring us your questions. Let's really set some strategies, set an appointment with Henry, sit down and meet with him, have a lunch and learn, a breakfast and brainstorm, whatever it is, to take your strategy to the next level. And like Benny and I always say, I tell you one thing, you got to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable enough to have an open conversation with Henry, because I thought I was doing everything right. I was saving 20%, like Henry said. but where was I put it? I didn't know. And that's when Henry broke it down like, Khalil, you doing cool. Congratulations. He broke me down in a nice way. It was like a dad, like, come on, I mean, you did 20 push-ups, but let
You
me show
doing
you.
okay,
Let me
son?
show
You
you.
okay? You
Yeah,
okay, son?
let me show you 50 push-ups though. And I'm like, oh shit, he did 50 push-ups. So, but he did it in a way that let me know there's room for growth. I'm on the right process. I'm on the right stage. And he's going to do that for each and every one of who you reach out to him. I promise you. He takes an approach that's so unique, so hands-on, so educational, and so energetic. And that's why he's part of our program moving forward. So I love what you do, bro. Now, hold on real quick. Before I
And
let you get out of here, anything. What? Yeah, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I was just gonna say, I appreciate that. We have so much on the line. Like, who suffers from us not having a solid plan? Like, it's not only us, it's not only our lifestyles, it's not only our happiness, it's not only our stress levels. Like, for those of you that have kids out there, every now and then we would want to have a grandparent that comes and takes the kids for us and takes them to a park or takes them to a play or takes them to a theme park or whatever. But that only happens when your parents have a solid plan, when your parents have a solid retirement goal,
Right.
and they're good. They can help us with our down payments on our homes and stuff like that. So when we don't have a solid plan, it doesn't only affect us, it affects our kids, it affects our parents, it affects everybody else. And going off of what Benny was saying, like, when you get exposed to running your own business, when you're selling homes for people that are a lot more wealthy than you start to have bigger goals. You start to
Mhm.
want more. You start to have a bigger vision. And that bigger vision gives you more clarity. And you start thinking more about stuff. When I started thinking more and wanting more, I remember going to Vegas one time and, I was there with some guys and we were going to go and grab some dinner at a nice steakhouse. And I was prepared to spend maybe like $150 on dinner or whatnot and drinks. And we ended up not going. We ended up going to a bar and my tab was like $40, and normally I would just take that, go straight to the tables, blackjack, whatever, spend all my money. But when I got in this industry and I started thinking about my destination, and it was clear, I know where I want to go. I know what I want. I know why I want it. I know why I need that and who I can impact. I took that $40 and instead of taking the extra $110 and spending it on the blackjack table, it was like I was gonna eat $150. I was gonna eat it, get rid of it, the way we get rid of it. But instead, why not just take that 110 and buy stock? Maybe it
Right.
wins, right?
Right.
You're gonna spend the money anyway, right? So that is it's a mindset shift that happens when you become focused on the goal. And the problem is a lot of us aren't focused on the goal. No one's ever even asked us the questions.
Hmm.
I guarantee you throw a party, invite all your friends over, ask them, how old do you want to be when you retire?
Right.
How much money do you want to live on in retirement? No
Yep.
one knows. If I don't know how much money I want to live off of and when I want to retire, how do I figure out how much money I need to save up? How big that bag of money needs to be to produce the income that it needs to produce? Because if I don't know how big that bag needs to be, I don't even know how much I should be saving every year.
Right.
I can't work backwards. And it's just all these question marks that just cause stress. It just causes more stress and your health goes down and everything, right? It's like a ricochet, right?
Yep.
So
And what does that conversation look like? Because for somebody to be able to assess how much they need at retirement, right? So one is gaining clarity on your budget, right? Knowing how much money you spend right now, like what your expenses are right now, what your lifestyle is right now, what your hobbies are right now. What of those expenses, what do you still see yourself doing at 65, 70 years old? And then also implement, adding, you may have grandkids at that time. What do you want to do for your grandkids? Do you want to travel? Do you what when is your house going to be paid off? So it's one is gaining clarity on your budget right now, because it's not going to be too much of a difference when you do retire. or when you come to retirement age, unless by that time, you're in a situation where the house is paid off. Or what if you want to downsize? Or what if you want to upsize? What if you want to buy a new property at that time? Maybe you're in a 2-story and you want a single story. So all those conversations, that conversation has to be had. And when you're having that conversation with somebody who is a financial advisor like Henry, he's going to be able to assess, like, okay, well, look, if you're bringing in this amount of money right now, and you're still wanting to do these particular things and this particular thing, then you may need to make the same amount of money that you're making right now. So, okay, so what do I do? Where do I put that money in? Because I had to, like I was talking about earlier, I had a conversation with a young man. He's a barber, and he's 29, and he doesn't have a IRA set up. He doesn't have a Roth IRA set up. He doesn't have a 401k, obviously. He doesn't have any particular retirement plan. And for me at that age, I wasn't thinking about retirement. I was working at AT&T, so I started playing around with the 401k at that time, but still didn't know what the full ramifications of the 401k or what that would do for my retirement, or understanding that that's not even a retirement strategy. That's more of a tax deferment strategy. So, it was one of those things where I didn't know, right? Because I never had anybody to pull my tail and pull my ears and have that conversation with me. So having this conversation with this young man, I mean, his literally watching his eyes open up, like, wow, I should really be doing this. Like, Benny, thank you. Like, I'm gonna make this happen. Like, I'm going to set up a IRA. I'm going to set up a Roth IRA. I'm going to have a conversation with you about doing these things. So being vulnerable enough, and when we talk about vulnerability is strength. That's not what most people think it is. It's not being weak. That's the strongest thing that you can actually do, or a state that you could be in, because now you're being open enough to allow somebody to see where you are now and to take that advice to where you need to be. So having that conversation around that, and I want to ask, because I want you to kind of go in a little bit in depth about how that conversation comes about, as far as somebody reaching out to you. And I'm talking about the processes. Somebody reaching out to you, setting the appointment, we're sitting down. What information do I need to bring to you? What do I need to know about where I'm at right now? And what do I need to know about where I want to be at a certain age?
So the more you know about where you are right now, the better, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know what your money is doing inside your 401k, if you know what the balance of your savings account is and how much you're putting in every month, like if you know whether you have insurance or not, if you know whether you have disability insurance at work or whether you have a company match, if you know these things, it's better. If you don't know these things, it's not the end of the world either. The majority of people I talk to don't know these things. Like,
right,
they just don't. And most people that I talk to, I've never met with a financial advisor before. So they're not sure what to expect. They're not sure what's it going to cost. They're not sure all these different types of things, So I explained that to them. There's never a situation with me in that first meeting where you have to make a decision about anything or cut a check for anything. It's a lot of it is about educating and understanding, where are you at right now?
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that. You need to know that. We also need to know where you're trying to go. I would be weary of any advisor that comes up to anybody and says, hey, Benny, you need to go ahead and start this Roth tomorrow, or you need $1 million of life insurance, or you need to go ahead and dump $500 a month into your Robinhood account, and they haven't even asked you yet what your budget is, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to protect. So a lot of that is a conversation. A lot of that is education. The vulnerability goes both ways. I got to be vulnerable too. I didn't know this stuff forever. Like, when I bought my home at 30, I got divorced. My ex-wife left me like the next day. I had my cash went into the house. The house was in her name. She had better credit than me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when she left, she got the house. That's a hard lesson to learn, bro. Like, that's that story of those 2 weeks and what happened. Like, my business shut down. My birthday happened. I bought my home. My ex-wife left me. So, like, within 2 weeks, like, I had no home, no cash. no job, no nothing. Like start all over, right? So these type of things, they build character. Um, you just want to, when you talk to me, I'll guide you on how to think about the future.
Mhm.
You know, I'll ask you questions that are simple to answer. You know, having to do with your lifestyle now, having to deal with what you want your lifestyle to be, and we'll just walk you through the processes. If you're not ready to jump right into the stock market and IRAs and all that stuff, and we need to just talk about budgeting first, or we need to talk about a strategy to play down your credit cards, you know, or how to figure out how to get an emergency savings. Like, how do I figure out how much I should have in a savings account? There's
Mhm.
basic living expenses that we all have that we all need to pay, PG&E, mortgages. Even when you pay off the mortgage, you still got property taxes. Wi-Fi still costs something. It costs money to get your hair and nails done,
Right.
right? So I can help you figure out what your basic living expenses are, how much to put into a savings account, and how to go from there. And just educating you on
Exactly.
these tools. Same thing, like I said, with your physical fitness. Like a lot of people have an image of what they want to look like, but I don't know how to do it. I go into 24-hour fitness or a gym, it's daunting. There's
Mm.
like 18 machines that I don't even know how to use it. You know
Right.
what I'm
Or
saying?
what
Like,
they're
so
called.
you got a lot of people that are hesitant on going in the gym
Mhm.
just because I don't even know what the hell to do when I get in there. And then there's gonna be all these people looking at me and all this type of stuff. So sometimes people need somebody like myself that's not gonna judge you
Yep.
because you're 40 and you don't know what to do with your 401k
Yep.
yet, or because you don't have an inheritance coming.
Right.
Like,
No, you're right. That's a great analogy.
I get it.
That's a
Yep.
great analogy because there's so many different financial products. It's like going into a gym, like annuity, IRA, SEP IRA, Roth IRA. Like you can be like, what? I'm
I've
confused.
never
Is
heard of that. Right.
exactly.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
that's the importance I tell you about what I love about you, Henry.
You don't want to fuck around and pull your groin on accident.
Yeah. But that's what I love about Henry is, and you don't want to pull your financial growing either. But that's the
Right.
thing about
Right.
Henry is seriously, this is no joke, is I've seen his process because I've gone through it myself, but I've seen it as well as us just sitting down for me to learn and hone my own process. Is a lot of these people who you sit down with, if you sat down with somebody, you can attest to it. They are trying to sell you on some stuff. I mean, I've been sold on some stuff before. I don't. They didn't give a damn about what I was doing, what my budget was. Like Henry said, 500 a month. Throw it in this little thing right here, and we gonna give you some money back. And you really don't. You like, man. And what Henry does is, you like, wait a minute, don't you do life insurance and financial advisement? Because you telling me to do 10 other things before you even get me to truly being your client. And that's the beauty of him is everybody's situation is different. And for some people, the prescription is take two of these and call me in the morning, not take two of these and go party all night. You know what I mean? Like you got to let this medication sit on you for a minute. There's certain
Right.
things we got to do to put into practice. I need to get you to understand finances. I need to get you out of debt. I got to get you to get this money doing certain things before I then start trying to get you to put money in vehicles, and you still got this big debt over here. So he breaks the situation down as it pertains to you and your particular situation and where you at. He don't make you feel weird because at 40 years old, you may not know finances. It's some stuff at 40 years old, you're going to tell him he don't know nothing about it. You're not going to make him feel weird about it. It is what it is. We're all novices to an extent to something in life. It just so happens the majority of us are novices when it comes to being financially literate. And I trust me, beauty of him, he got guns too. He gonna tell you how to go use them damn machines at the gym afterwards. He the kind of dude who gonna tell you how to use your financial machines, and then he gonna
I
tell
know that
you how.
exactly. He kept using them gym analogies
He
for a
gonna be
reason,
like,
right?
for that one thing, just so you know, it's called an elliptical. After that, you're gonna go over. That's a Smith machine. The Smith
Right.
machine is designed to give you some help when you're doing a bench press or a squat. Should you not have a spotter, you be like,
Right.
oh, that's what the Smith machine does. Like, okay. So he gonna help you in more facets than one because he's healthy. He eat healthy. You know what I mean? He thinks wealthy. He reads. He keeps his body fit. He a family man, a great dad. He is in one with nature because he's always golfing. He's surfing. He's camping. He got his son and his lady out there doing all these wonderful things with him. So he's so well-rounded in the sense that it's not just finances. He come from Vallejo, so he know about the hood. He went to university, so he knows about sports. You know what I mean? He's physically fit. He goes to as many seminars and workshops as you, bro. I've never met two people in my life who do so much self-betterment stuff. Y'all, you
I know
inspire me.
that hey, when Henry and I first met, that's exactly. I mean, I was like, man, Henry, man, you got so many things in common.
Yep.
Because he talked about going surfing in Costa Rica. I was like, I was at that same beach you were talking about you were surfing at. Like it's like, I mean, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it goes back to that will we always talk about. That I talk about is being well-rounded, right? You know, God, family, business, health. You know, and those are things. The things that you focus on are the things that you get better in, right? So as you focus on your life, it's just trying to be more well-rounded. Where none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna, you know, set myself to that standard, and I'm not gonna, you know, leave my audience to think that I think I'm perfect. It's just what we focus on, right? And so that's the whole purpose of this show is opening up our mindset, opening up our minds to understand that we should be more focused on different things. You know, we need
Execute
to
your
be focused on
excellence.
we need to be focused on our financial status. We need to be focused on our finances. We need to be focused on our health. We need to be focused on our life, our loved ones, our families, you know, our God. You know, we need to be focused on those things. And as we focus on those things, we're going to automatically do things that are going to put us in better positions.
Yep.
Right. And so it's just each one teach one, iron sharpens iron. Everything that we say, and we live it, and we're just trying to present those possibilities for others to live it, you know.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things, like we said, what I said earlier is, as I learn better, as I do better, I want everybody around me to do that, you know, do that same situation. I don't want to hoard the information. I don't want to hoard the education. You know what I'm saying? I want us all to grow. So
Exactly.
that's the whole purpose of this show. And I'm looking forward to many, you know what I'm saying, to many more shows with Henry. Because
Yes,
and
sir.
as you look at our shows, and as you look at our subjects from this day previous, this is all we want to do is provide value to our audience. And that's exactly what we want to continue to do. So please, because we haven't said this yet, so please go to our YouTube channels, go to our Facebook channel, go to our Instagram, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, talk about, let us give us some information about what you want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Be vulnerable enough to ask a question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can say it's your cousin. You can say it's your friend. Somebody told you. Whatever it is, leave the question. We'll talk about it. We'll answer that question. We respond to our audience. You know what I'm saying? We'll even set up a one-on-one to where you can sit down with Khalil and go over your retirement planning, go over your insurance plans. You know what I'm saying? You can sit down with me. We can talk about your real estate goals, your real estate plans. You can sit down with Henry, talk about your financial plans, talk about your retirement, talk about where you want to be, where you are right now. This is our aim. This is our goal. This is our mission. Yep. We're creating opportunity for you to grow. Come grow with us.
Man, you my partner. That's a great A. Drop the mic. Henry, where can they reach you at?
Best place to reach me is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, message me on LinkedIn. And that's the best way to reach me at this point. I'm trying to be like you, man, with social media and everything, Instagram, all that, man. I need to work on that. So I'll get there.
We got you, Henry. We got you, man. We're gonna make it happen.
Exactly.
You got the face for it with your handsome self, looking like Papa Bernstein bear over there. Hey, go ahead. Have fun with the family, bro. I love you. Thank you for your time. Look, everybody, this is just the first of many. We'll be back at you on March 18th with Henry again with a specific topic. We're going to start rolling some things out. Let us know what topics you want to hear about. We'll roll them out at the pace you want to hear them at. B, I appreciate you for taking time out your business trip in the ATL. I saw you had your camera off for a minute. I ain't going to speculate or nothing like that, but leave it alone. But you have a good time, my brother. I love you. Henry.
Yes, sir.
Kiss the family for me. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Global Empowerment Team signing out. Execute your excellence, baby.